Hello viewers, good morning. I'm Dr. K.S. Kumar, Associate Professor of Chemistry, C. Siddhartha, First Grade College. I have prepared some earlier videos related to the biochemistry topic. Today I am going to discuss with you about the gases. Of course, this video is prepared in two parts, that is part 1 and part 2. And part 1 video gives introduction and molecular velocity distribution, Maxwell-Boltzmann equation and explanation of the Maxwell-Boltzmann equation and the derivation of the most probable velocity using this Maxwell-Boltzmann equation. After the derivation of the most probable velocity, RMS velocity and average velocity, we solve the problems related to these average velocities, and also we talk about the critical constants and the molecular velocities and all those things. Okay. In the second part, I am going to discuss about the Andrews experiment and the relation between the critical constants and the van der Waals constant and the inversion temperature, Joule-Thomson effect and the liquefaction of the gases. Let us begin with the part 1, that is gases. Well, this is my introduction, Dr. K.S. Kumar, Associate Professor of Chemistry, Siddhartha, First Grade College, Tumkur. And this is my contact number, that is 9448447137. And before I start discussion, I pay my due respects to L. Indira and G.R. Chetwal. And I used the images of the textbook written by this L. Indira and Chetwal. Let us go to the discussion part. And before I exactly start what the content is going to be, I would like to give you some information or some introduction to the gases. We know the states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas. Three important states of the matter. So the solids are characterized by their rigidity and they have the definite shape and definite volume. In other words, you can say they are not compressible, that is, they are incompressible in nature. Whereas the liquids, comparatively loosely bound, they don't have the definite shape, but they have the definite volume. And they are also less compressible or incompressible in nature. Whereas the gases, these gaseous molecules, this gaseous state, in this the particles are very loosely bound. They don't have the definite shape and definite volume also, and they are highly compressible in nature. By their basic characteristics, it is very clear on solids and liquids, pressure plays a little role. Whereas on gas, because they are highly compressible, the pressure also plays an important role. Of course, you remember the matter exists in any of these three forms, which depends upon the temperature and pressure. Okay, and the influence of pressure on gas is more when compared to the solids and the liquids, in addition to the temperature and volume. Okay, and we have lot of information, lot of assumptions based that is mentioned in the kinetic theory of gases. We know the basic characteristics of the gas. A gas is composed of very tiny particles called molecules, which may be considered as point masses. We know that gas molecules are in a continuous random motion and they frequently colliding with each other and also the walls of the container. The other postulate we have to remember, that is collision of the gaseous molecules among themselves is perfectly elastic in nature. That means there is no loss or gain of total energy of the system. The another postulate is the gas pressure is due to the collision of the gaseous molecules on the walls of the container. And next one, the average kinetic energy of the gaseous molecule is directly proportional to the temperature of the gas in Kelvin. Okay. The another basic thing is the gaseous molecules exert no attractive or repulsive forces on one another. These are the fundamental postulates of the kinetic theory. Most of our discussion considers the postulates of the kinetic theory of gases and modification of the kinetic theory of the gases. And we know that some of the laws in gaseous system. So we know based on the kinetic theory of gases, we know Boyle's law, Charles law, Gay-Lussac's law and combined law and ideal gas equation. And in brief, I can give you the formula that P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. This is based on the statement that at constant temperature, as pressure increases, volume decreases. Okay, that is nothing but the Boyle's law, mathematical form of the Boyle's law. And if you go to the Charles law, V1 by T1 is equal to V2 by T2. So it is arrived by at constant pressure, as volume increases, temperature increases. That is Charles law. The Gay-Lussac's law, that is says that at constant volume, as pressure increases, temperature increases. Based on that, we can write the expression P1 by T1 is equal to P2 by T2. Or in other words, you can say the product of pressure and volume is always constant. The ratio of the volume and the temperature is always constant. The ratio between the pressure and the temperature is also constant. That according to the Gay-Lussac's law. If you combine all these laws, you will get this equation P1 V1 divided by T1 is equal to P2 V2 to T2. Okay, mathematical expression. And we are very familiar with the popular statement, that is ideal gas equation. PV is equal to nRT, where P is the pressure, V is the volume, N is the number of moles, R is gas constant, and T is the absolute temperature. With this brief introduction, let us go to the exact part of this discussion, that is the distribution of molecular velocity. The kinetic theory supports or gives lot of information, and it helps to discuss about the molecular velocity distribution. And of course, it not only considers the kinetic theory, it also considers the statistical considerations. Actually, all molecules do not possess the same velocity, not even a fraction of a second. So, the gaseous molecule, the total gaseous molecules available in the medium do not possess the same energy, not even for a second. This is so because as a result of collision, there is a redistribution of both velocity as well as the energy. Considering the large number of gaseous molecules in any sample, it is possible to predict the fraction of the molecules which will have a particular velocity. And despite the constant collisions and exchange of velocity, the number of molecules with any particular velocity, say in a small range between C and C plus dC, is a constant at a given temperature. Thus, it is possible to specify the distribution of molecular velocity as the fraction, that is dN by n. And of course, the dN by n is the fraction of the molecules having the velocities in the range between C and C plus dC. And this is a curve, this is a graph, and of course, roughly remains the same for all the gases. Okay. So, for any gas you take, whether nitrogen gas, hydrogen gas, oxygen gas, and the shape of the curve will be like this. So, from this curve it is very clear the molecules or the number of molecules with low velocity, number of molecules with high velocity are less. Okay. So, totally we can conclude that the velocity and the energy is redistributed in gaseous molecules. At any instant of time, fraction of the molecules will have a particular velocity range. So that is the distribution of the molecular velocity due to the collisions, due to the nature of the collisions also. So the velocity is distributed among the gaseous molecules is constant. Okay, let us go to the next part, the important part of this discussion, that is Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. And of course, this law is arrived by considering the kinetic theory of gases and also the statistical considerations. And of course, it shows the actual distribution of the molecular velocity, and that depends upon the temperature and molecular weight of the gas. The main aim of this one is the distribution of the molecular velocity, and this distribution of the molecular velocity depends upon the molecular weight of the gas as well as the temperature of the gas. Based on all the considerations, Maxwell and Boltzmann come to this law, and this is expressed in the mathematical equation, that is dN by n is equal to 4 pi m divided by 2 pi RT over to the power of 3 by 2 into e to the power of minus mc square over 2 RT c square dc. And in this equation, dN is the number of molecules having the velocity between c and c plus dc, n is the total number of molecules, m is the molecular weight of the gas, and r is the gas constant, is the absolute temperature. And in the examination, you are supposed to write this equation, and at the same time you are supposed to explain the terms involved in this equation. Let us continue the discussion by using this Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. If you divide this above equation by dc, you will get this expression dN by n divided by dc is equal to 4 pi into m over 2 pi RT over to the power of 3 by 2 into e to the power of minus mc square over 2 RTs into c square. So that dc here gets cancelled if you divide it by the dc here. And this factor represents a term called the probability. That is probability of finding the molecules with a velocity c. If you plot this probability against the velocity, and you will get this curve. So this is the graph you will get if you plot the probability and against the velocity. Using this curve, and of course there are three curves, so depending with the three temperatures, that is T1, T2 and T3. So you can closely observe these three curves, so their shape is identical. Let us go one by one. So what this information is going to tell you. The fraction of the molecules having the velocity range between c and c plus dc is given by the area enclosed by the ordinate and length of the abscissa, that is dc. The total number of molecules is given by the area under the curves. The total number of molecules is given by the area under each curve. The height of the ordinate corresponding to any velocity is a measure of the fraction of the molecules having that velocity. From this graph it is very clear. Molecules with very low and very high velocities are few in number. Molecules with low velocity and the molecules with the very high velocity are few in number. The very low and very high velocities are most improbable. Majority of the molecules having the velocity grouped about a velocity corresponding to the peak of the curve. And this is called the most probable velocity or most probable speed, represented by the CMP. And thirdly, you can notice here, with an increase in temperature, shape of the curve doesn't change. So from T1 to T2, T2 to T3, you can observe the shape of the curve doesn't change. However, the maximum of the curve shifts to the higher value of C, indicating that at higher temperature, higher values of velocities are probable. You can notice here, so at lower velocity, most probable velocity is this one, and next velocity, the most probable velocity is here, and for the third curve, the most probable velocity is shifted to the right. That means, as you increase the temperature, most probable velocity of the gas increases. So these are the information or the conclusions you can draw by using the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. If they ask state and explain Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution law, you are supposed to give the statement of this expression and the terms, and you have to explain this curve that is based on the Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution law. Three important points you are supposed to mention, that is regarding the nature of the curve and the velocity distribution and the influence of the temperature. 3 points you have to explain about the Maxwell distribution law. Okay, it's very clear, and here you are supposed to explain the graph also if they ask for the explanation. Okay, next we shall go to the derivation of the expression for most probable velocity, that is the CMV. How we can derive the expression for this most probable velocity? The most probable velocity is the velocity possessed by the maximum number of molecules in the sample and corresponds to the maximum on Maxwell's velocity distribution curve. The value of this velocity can be easily computed by differentiating this Maxwell's equation with respect to c and equating the results to 0. So what we are going to do is we are differentiating this Maxwell's equation and equating the results to 0. Let us start the discussion. Let us consider the Maxwell's equation. 1 by n multiplied by dn by dc is equal to 4 pi m over 2 pi rt all to the power of 3 by 2 e to the power of minus mc square over 2 rt into c square. Let us differentiate this expression with respect to dc. Okay, so you will get d by dc of left side 1 by n into dn by dc is equal to, here you can notice here this is the constant term. Let us keep this term constant and outside the differentiation. And this is the term you can differentiate. This is the product differentiation. That means you have to keep this term, first term as constant, and differentiate the second term. First term, that is e to the power of minus mc square over 2rt is constant here, and c square differentiation is 2c. It is written like this. In the second one, we shall keep the second term as constant and differentiate this e to the power of minus mc square over 2rt. If you differentiate this one, the differentiation of this is e to the power of minus mc square over 2rt, and differentiation of the power, that is differentiation of the mc square over 2rt, that is nothing but the 2mc divided by 2rt, that minus sign will be there. Then is the mathematical part, and you can notice here. So CE to the power of minus mc square over 2rt is a common term in both this part. Let us keep this common term outside, that is CE into CE to the power of minus mc square over 2rt as a common factor. You will get 2 minus c into 2mc divided by 2rt. Mathematically, you have to observe it very closely after taking this common factor outside, and you will get this term. This is very, very important. Since at the peak of the curve, this left-hand term is equal to 0. This is what the procedure we are supposed to follow while deriving this expression. So at the peak of the curve, the left-hand side of the curve is equal to 0. If this left hand side is equal to 0, you will get this expression, that is right hand side 4 pi m by 2 pi rt all to the power of 3 by 2 ce to the power of minus mc square over 2 rt all thing multiplied by 2 minus mc square over rt is equal to 0. Then we shall apply the knowledge of the mathematics. So here 4 is there, 5 is there, m, 2 pi rt, all these terms are the constants. These terms cannot be equal to 0. If these terms are not equal to 0, then the other term mentioned here should be equal to 0, since the product of these two terms is 0. That is, this quantity which is mentioned in the square bracket should be equal to 0. Again here you can come to a conclusion if these two products are considered as 0. So if the multiplication of these two products is considered as 0, so this c into e to the power of minus mc square over 2rt cannot become 0. Therefore 2 minus mc square over rt it should be equal to 0. That's what is written in the last expression. Then we shall apply some mathematical knowledge to this expression. That is, if you take this mc square to the right hand side, you will get the mc square 2 is equal to mc square divided by rt. Or if you take the c square at one side and remaining term in the other side, you will get the expression that is mc square divided by rt is equal to 2, and if you extract the c square here, c square is equal to 2rt divided by m, or c is equal to the square root of 2rt divided by m. The c we consider is the most probable velocity, and this is the expression for the most probable velocity. Remember, we have arrived to this expression by the Maxwell-Boltzmann equation. That is obtained by differentiating with respect to c and equating them to 0. So by that expression we come to this expression, that is cmp is equal to root of 2rt divided by m. Similarly, we can derive the expression for the c average, that is root of 8rt divided by pi m. Similarly, we can derive the expression for the c RMS, that is 3rt divided by m. You can observe here 2rt, 8rt by pi m and 3rt. You can notice here, so from this expression it is very clear C RMS is greater than C average and it is greater than the CMP. Among these three velocities, you can observe, you can notice here that C RMS is greater than C average is greater than the CMP. And the relationship between CMP, CAV and CRMS is given here, that CRMS is to CAV is to CMP is equal to 1 is to 0.92 is to 0.82. Or, so you can also write in the reverse form, that is CMP is to CAV is to CRMS is equal to 1 is to 1.128 is to 1.225. So this is the relationship between the different velocities. Okay, so this is the relationship between these velocities. So what next then? Let us see some of the numerical problems related to these velocities. Okay, the problem one, this is one of the solved problem in this textbook. Then after knowing this problem very well, I give the different assignment here. Let us see that problem. Calculate the root mean square velocity, average velocity and most probable velocity of the oxygen molecules at 300 Kelvin. It's a very straightforward problem. You are supposed to calculate the mean square velocity, average velocity and most probable velocity. What is given here? Temperature is given as 300 Kelvin. So R, of course, you should know, that is 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. M is, that is nothing but the molecular mass of the gas, that is 0.032 kg per mole. Here it should be very careful. If I ask you what is the molecular mass of the oxygen, straight away you will say 32. That is 32 is the gram molar mass and you have to express in kg per mole. Therefore, you should divide that 32 by 1000. You will get the 0.032 kg per mole. You can observe here all the things given in this expression, in this problem are in one unit, that is the SI unit. Suppose if the data are given in different units, you should convert them to the SI unit. That is, if the temperature is given in degree Celsius, you have to convert it to the 300 Kelvin. So if the any of these parameters are given in different terms, you have to convert it to this SI system. And we know the formula for the CRMS, that is root of 3RT by M. So you have to write the formula here. Then after writing the formula, you have to substitute the data very carefully along with the units. So you can observe here 3 multiplied by 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole multiplied by 300 Kelvin divided by 0.032 kg per mole. So they have mentioned the units for this values also. Okay. In the first step, you have to mention the units. Then the remaining part is the calculation by the calculator. So first you simplify which is inside the square root, and then you find out the square root of this one, and you will get 483.56 meter per second. So the unit that is left out is meter per second. If you expand this joule, and you will get this meter per second at the last. Okay. Then if you calculate the RMS velocity, it is easy to calculate the C average and CMP by using that relationship. C average is equal to 0.92 multiplied by CRMS. You can calculate this one. CMP is nothing but the 0.82 multiplied by the CRMS. So you will get this expression. Or directly by substituting the data to these formula, C average formula and C most probable formula also, you can determine. CMP can also be obtained by square root of 2RT by M. Okay. Similarly, C average can be obtained. Both are same. The interesting point here is, this is a typical problem. It is a solved problem in the textbook. So they have given for the oxygen, the condition is 300 Kelvin. If you want to do the problems of the same kind, you change this oxygen to nitrogen. Then carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, methane gas, hydrogen gas. Change the gas and calculate the RMS velocity, average velocity and most probable velocity. You can compare the velocity of the different gases if you calculate for all the variety of gases. Then for the practice, so you can change this temperature also. So calculate at 300 Kelvin, calculate the most probable velocity or RMS velocity of oxygen at 300 Kelvin, 310 Kelvin, 320 Kelvin, like that. There also, by varying the temperature, whether you get the more velocity or less velocity also you can compare. So you can get many number of problems just by varying the nature of the gas and the temperature. Okay, so these are the things you have to learn, and you have to practice, and you have to go through the practice problems, examination problems and solve them. Okay, while solving the problem, be careful, units should be in one system. Better always use the SI system. Let us go to the next problem. The next problem is of the different kind. Here you can see here. So I am reading the problem. At what temperature will the average velocity of methane molecules be the same as that the ethane molecules at 350 Kelvin? I read out once again. At what temperature will the average velocity of the methane molecules as this be the same as that of the ethane molecules at 350 Kelvin? That is, methane and ethane have different velocity at a particular temperature. They are asking what is the temperature will this average velocity of the methane molecule should have when the ethane molecule having the velocity at 350 Kelvin. So you have to find out the temperature. So here the methane M, molar mass of the methane is 0.016. How do you get this one? By using that formula CH4. Okay. So molar mass of the ethane is 0.030 kg per mole. How do you get this one? That is C2H6 formula. The temperature one is given, that is ethane, for temperature of the ethane is given, that is 350 Kelvin. So we know the average velocity of the gas, that is root 8RT divided by, that is square root of 8RT divided by pi m. So average velocity of the ethane is this one T1 M1, average velocity of the methane is T2 M2. Let us assume that. So M1 is the molar mass of the ethane and M2 is the molar mass of the methane. So first one is M1 for the ethane, M2 for the methane. So as per the condition, so the average velocity of the methane is equal to the average velocity of the ethane. That is, so average velocity of the ethane and methane are same, therefore the right hand side must be same. That is the square root of 8RT2 divided by pi M2 is equal to square root of 8RT1 divided by pi M1. So from this mathematical expression it is very clear, square root can be cancelled, the 8R divided by pi can be cancelled. We left out with that very simple formula, T2 by M2 is equal to T1 by M1. That is T2 is equal to T1 M2 divided by M1. We know T1 that is 350 Kelvin. We know M2 that is 0.016 kg per mole. We know the M1 that is 0.030 kg per mole. Here you can see kg per mole, kg per mole cancels. You will left out with only the Kelvin, and after the simplification you will get the temperature that is 186.7 Kelvin is the temperature at which the velocity of the methane molecule is equal to the velocity of the ethane molecule. Okay, so this is another kind of problem that you can expect in your examination. Here also you can vary the methane gas, ethane gas by the nitrogen gas, oxygen gas, nitrogen gas and carbon dioxide gas, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide gas, and you can put any gas in these two places and solve the problems. That's the assignment you have to work out at home. Okay, the next we shall see one more problem. And it is a simple problem. Calculate the most probable velocity of carbon dioxide molecules at STP. They have not given the temperature, but they say the STP, standard temperature and the pressure. The standard temperature should be familiar, that is 273 Kelvin, and of course R is given, that is 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. Usually this R is given along with the problem. If it is not given, so you have to remember this one, 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. See, here the carbon monoxide is given by substituting the atomic mass of the carbon and oxygen. So you will get 0.028 kg per mole, that is the molar mass of the carbon monoxide. So for this you are supposed to calculate the most probable velocity, that is CMP is equal to square root of 2RT divided by M. The data are very simple. 2R is substituted, temperature is substituted, molar mass is substituted, and the values are substituted first, then the square root is determined, and it is found to be 402.65 meter per second. Similarly, similar to other problems, you can vary this gas, carbon dioxide gas, oxygen gas, nitrogen gas, and you can calculate for all the gases, for the most probable velocity of all the gases at the STP. Okay, so that these are the nature of the problems you have to be familiar regarding this velocity of the gases. Next, we shall understand some more information related to the molecular collisions in a gases. And straight away I will give the definition of the three terms, that is the collision number, collision frequency, and the mean free path. So just I mentioned this definition here, so you can notice here the collision number. What is that collision number? The number of collisions experienced by a single gas molecule with other gas molecules in unit time per unit volume. The number of molecules, the number of collisions experienced by a single gas molecule with other gas molecules in unit time per unit volume is called collision number. And of course mathematically it is given by Z1 is equal to root 2 pi sigma square C bar n, where C bar is the average velocity. The next is of course the collision frequency. Collision frequency is the total number of collisions per unit time per unit volume. And of course it is given by 1 divided by root 2 pi sigma square C bar n. In addition to that, you must be familiar with the mean free path. The average distance which a molecule travels between two successive collisions is called mean free path, and it is denoted by the lambda. And it is given by the expression lambda is equal to distance travelled in unit time divided by the number of collisions. These are some of the definitions you should remember while discussing about the molecular collisions in a gaseous molecule. Okay. Let us move to the next one. That is another important thing, that is about the critical constant. In gaseous state, the molecules are in a continuous rapid motion and lie far apart from one another. As per that basic characteristics, it is like this. On decreasing the temperature, that is on cooling, the kinetic energy of the gas molecules decreases and their velocity also decreases. The slow molecules are unable to overcome the force of attraction and are eventually converted into liquid state. So I am expressing how these gaseous molecules goes into the liquid state. In gaseous state, they are in a continuous rapid motion. If you decrease the temperature, their kinetic energy decreases, velocity also decreases. So as they start moving slowly, so they are unable to overcome the force of attraction. So because of that force of attraction which dominates here, that the gaseous state goes into the liquid state. The gas molecules may be brought closer by increasing the pressure also. But so the decrease in temperature and increase in pressure bring about the liquefaction of the gases. But it is noticed here, the effect of temperature plays a more prominent role than that of pressure. That is, it is possible to liquefy all gases by the application of pressure, but not all gases can be liquefied at ambient temperature. Okay, so it is possible to liquefy the gas by decreasing the temperature and increasing the pressure. Okay, so pressure has got some limitation during the liquefaction of the gases. So to understand this one better, so we have to be familiar with these critical constants. So critical constant are the critical temperature, critical pressure, critical volume. So critical temperature, the temperature above which the gas cannot be liquefied even by the application of high pressure. So the gaseous molecules maintain certain temperature. Above that temperature, the gaseous molecule cannot be liquefied even by the application of very high pressure. And of course, that temperature is called critical temperature. Similarly, critical pressure, that is the pressure required to liquefy a gas at its critical temperature, is called critical pressure. That means you need certain amount of the pressure to liquefy a gas at the critical temperature, and that pressure is called as the critical pressure. Similarly, other constant, that is the critical volume, that is the volume occupied by 1 mole of the gas at its critical temperature and pressure, is called the critical volume. So you know that, so the volume of the gas varies with temperature. So the volume occupied by 1 mole of the gas at critical temperature and pressure is called critical volume. These three constants plays an important role in the liquefaction of the gas. Okay, so critical temperature, critical pressure and critical volume. And of course, these three constants can be related to the van der Waals constant A, B and C. Okay, so with this I conclude the first discussion, and I will continue the remaining thing in the next part of my discussion, that is gases